It's that time of year again. Once again, it seems like every February or March, we're talking about conference realignment, conference expansion, and whatnot each and every year the past 3 or 4 years. And the rest of the nation, outside of the Big Ten and the SEC, have sort of become a little, maybe depressed at the fact that a lot of people think that eventually that this thing is going to go to just being the Big Ten and the SEC taking over and becoming like a bigger version of the NFL. But there is a scenario that I think that could lend for there to possibly be a Big Three, maybe even a Big Four in the future. And that way we have a little variety and the Big Ten and the SEC do not dominate college football completely. Let's talk about it. Riding on in, once again, Outlaw Posse is in effect. That's right. This is the OCF, the Outlaw of College Football, also known as JPC. That stands for Jesse Paul Clark on Facebook, spelled Jessc without the I. Also on Twitter, at OCF Productions. Now, getting right to it here. Conference realignment and conference expansion once again is percolating, but before I get to all that, I'd like to recognize one of my fellow podcasters, that being Justin Walker of Kuz's Corner. He put me on to a lot of this stuff. He's usually really informative about conference realignment and expansion and those kind of topics. So if you get a chance, check out Kuz's Corner. Now, getting right to it here. To me right now, the Big 12 has a pretty astounding opportunity to become one of the Big Three, in my opinion. People keep talking about the Big Two, SEC, Big Ten. But I think there's an opportunity for there to be a Big Three. So that way you have a little variety and you're not monopolized as much by the Big Ten and the SEC. And you see, the roles have been reversed somewhat. See, the Pac-12 had a chance. Had an opportunity a couple of years ago, and they believed that snake that they called Kevin Warren at the Big Ten when they went to the ACC and the Pac-12 and said, hey, let's don't raid anybody. Let's not expand. Let's not feed into what the SEC is doing and react to them because it makes them think that they have us on some kind of leash or they're leading us around like a dog in a circle. And so none of them expanded. The ACC didn't expand, the Pac-12 didn't expand. But what they did know is that Kevin Warren, because he's a snake, had ulterior motives, and he showed those when he went out and raided the Pac-12 after making that agreement and took their two biggest teams from their biggest market, that being the LA market. Though, I think it's a little overrated myself. But nevertheless, they went out and got those two teams from the biggest market in the Pac-12. And what could have happened, let me rewind a little bit, is if the Pac-12 had not listened to Kevin Warren's snaky ass, they could have owned the West. Kevin Warren knew this. He saw it. I got to give him that. The man is real, he's real wiry and cunning. And he probably seen the fact that, hey, the Pac-12, if they go out and they raid the Big 12 right now, when the Big 12's scrambling, because they just lost Oklahoma and Texas, and all the members were scrambling. They didn't have Brett Yormark yet. They were scrambling, and if the Pac-12 had actually went out and offered them instead of making that little loosely knit alliance with Kevin Warren and the Big Ten, they could have probably shut the Big 12 down. The Big 12 didn't have Brett Yormark yet, as I said, and they were scrambling. And I guarantee you that 4 to 6 teams from the Big 12 would have left if the Pac-12 had invited them 2 or 3 years ago. They would have left, and the Pac-12 would have owned the West. But they listened to the Big Ten, and Kevin Warren, and they have their little alliance for about 60 or 70 years with the Rose Bowl together, and he basically tore that little love affair down in a profound way. So now the Pac-12 is scrambling. They are the ones that are struggling to get a TV deal, because enter Brett Yormark, and Brett Yormark comes in, calms the feathers a little bit, goes out and gets 4 teams in here, and rights the ship for the Big 12. Well, now the Pac-12 is struggling to get a TV deal, as I said, and they're not being proactive once again. And I thought Klevekoff was going to be a pretty good conference commissioner, but he's turned out to be dragging his feet. He ain't done nothing. What they should do is go out and get San Diego State, just like the Big 12 should. And it doesn't look like the TV deal thing is going very well for them from the sources that I've been talking to and people out there that sort of know this situation. It doesn't look like the TV thing's going very well. And Arizona State have not been happy for quite some time. So that's the first 2 calls I'd make if I was the Big 12. I'd call Arizona and Arizona State, and then I would go out and try to get San Diego State as well to get that Southern California market that's out there to be took by either the Pac-12 or the Big 12 at this point. That's the only team that you could really get in a big market. And then after the Big 12 gets Arizona State, and San Diego State, then maybe choose Utah or Colorado if you just want 4 teams. I think they should probably go after 5 or 6 teams. I think they should go after Oregon and Washington, because USC, not UCLA as much, USC doesn't really want Oregon and Washington in the Big 10 because they see it as a recruiting advantage for them. But the Big 12 were to be smart, and the Pac-12 members were to be smart and put their differences aside, as I've said numerous times, and merge, they would have the best of the rest of the West. They would basically own the western part of the United States outside the LA market. They could offset the LA market that the Big 10 stole by just owning the entire western part of the United States, for the most part, west of the Mississippi. So, I mean, the Pac-12 is on life support. This is a conference that's been around for a long time. I think since 1930 or something. Almost 100 years. And it's all going to go by the wayside because of that snake that they called Kevin Warren. And because the Pac-12 has drugged their feet for so long and believed everything the Big 10 was telling them. So now, like I said, the roles are reversed. And here's the Big 12's opportunity to step up to the plate and be able to stand up to the SEC and the Big 10 down the road when it comes to TV negotiations and TV deals. Because if they got most of the West, that's going to be pretty attractive to a lot of TV executives out there. So that's what I think the Big 12 should do. I think they should go get Arizona State, San Diego State, possibly get Oregon and Washington, because those are 2 big pearls, 2 big markets. You got the Seattle market and maybe the greater Portland area market. I don't know if Portland really counts towards the Oregon Ducks, but still, it would be a very bold move by the Big 12, and it would put them in position to be a part of the Big 3 instead of having a monopolized Big 2 and a bigger version of the NFL. And that's all I got to say about that. There's a little heart down here. If you don't mind, hit that. Throw a few dollars in the coffers. Get me off the YouTube team. Keep me from being censored by YouTube censoring police. And as always, KMCA to all the other teams. Class is now officially dismissed.